Having some audio complications here. We're gonna try to sort it out. I'm having a lot of complications. That's an easy way to put it. Let me see. Make sure my audio is working. Hello. Having some audio complications here. We're gonna try to sort it out. Yeah. Okay, so we're there. Cool. Give me a few minutes. Let me just get myself together. It's been 4 months since I've streamed, and that's because it's been every single day I've had to, kind of go through this whole process of trying to just get up and go in the right direction. But I'll explain this series of events here shortly. It's all pretty interesting. I've learned a lot, I'll tell you that much. I mean, it's probably been one of the best educations you can ever have if you're going to try to learn more about this kind of stuff. Is just go get hacked. No, it's terrible advice. All right, let's see. Okay, so I need to minimize that. Get that out of the way. Bada bing, bada boom. All right, where am I at here? Oh, man. It's nice and dark. All right, let's fix that real quick. Alright, we're learning on the fly today. I've never really used a Restream other than through like another source, I've never used a web-based platform, so it's a little different for me. Alright, so there's that. I'm trying to get that to where it's not too bad. Okay. Bags under my eyes, check. Alright, so I don't even really know how to start this deal, but give me 1 second. I've got a whole thing put together here. So it's been a little over 90 days. It was January 22nd or 27th. I can't remember the exact date. I had been noticing I was having some kind of like weird inconsistencies ever since I bought this gaming PC back in June of 24. When I started playing Counter-Strike again and streaming and stuff, it was kind of fun. I had issues like a month or two, like right after I got it, It was just a real it just sucked. And it was like, that meltdown thing was going on, that CrowdStrike and all that shit. So I was thinking that maybe that was kind of, it's not anybody's fault, it's just the way it goes, right? So cut it to maybe a couple months, 2 or 3 months, I had a good run with that computer. in probably like September, I think. I went down. I struggled getting it to like, you know, launch, like getting it off the ground, getting it going. Kind of had some issues, but I didn't have any like backed up like operating system or anything like that to like, you know, reinstall. So I looked on the back of my computer like, hey, I got a warranty, so I bought it so I can use the warranty. So I called the computer manufacturer or the tech support line. If it's a third party, I really don't know. That's not really, there's no way for me to know. But it gets more interesting with all that later down the road when I get through this story, and this is going to be a long one. But so I called him. He tells me that when I bought my computer, in my paperwork, there's a thumb drive. And I knew there was because it's like a registration key. They're like paying you $10 to like a gift card to register online with them, right? I don't do that shit. I got enough stuff coming to me. I don't need anything, you know, more than that, right? So fast forward, he sends me to my email, and I didn't really think much of it at the time. I kind of questioned it, but he was super nice, you know. He kind of told me, he goes, yeah, you don't have a button on there. You just got to pop the clear control on it, which was fine. That's how I've always done it. It's take a flathead and kill the signal on it or whatever, and then you got to switch the HDD and the reset and the power over a prong or whatever, and then pull the CMOS off of it and put it back on. So it's just kind of like power cycling it. But you know, when I told me to put it back on there, I didn't even think about it. He was telling me that, well, you know, you move it over one more. And I started looking at the board later the other day, and it looks like that was moved over to like the speaker or the COM port, which I don't know what that would. I mean, I'm sure there's probably something that matters. I question everything after these last few months. So he sends me an email to my Gmail account, and I've got all this. I've got this original key. I've got that even backed up twice on an SD card, and then another USB drive secured. This is actually the operating system. It's pretty interesting. So I get this. He sends me an Intel ME management engine, but says it's a BIOS renamer is what it says in the email. What the fuck ever. Okay, cool. Then sends me a PCAP file. And I'm like, why do I need a PCAP file? He goes, well, you know, that's because the people are having some issues, and it's just kind of like a boot or a pre-boot to kind of like, you know, try to get you through that. It's not normally like something that you even need to worry about. This is just situational. I'm like, okay, it's a computer company, you know, I bought it from them. I know it's them I'm talking to. I called the number on the back of my computer. So trusting, you know. And then the computer was working. So I had no reason to like think that there was a problem, right? So that was what I said, like October. I had a gig for like a month out of town, and I was back. So probably didn't really play much or do anything streaming wise until like December-ish, right? So December, I had about a good month and a half, almost 2 months of streaming, playing Counter-Strike, you know. I started having some issues with my monitors and my displays, to like where my V-Sync or my G-Sync wasn't working right, or I couldn't play Counter-Strike if I was in the other one. It was just always like bugging out on me. And couldn't ever figure it out. I started messing with the Vulkan shaders and stuff, and it cleared the DirectX. You know, I kind of went through all that stuff. And then, you know, I had another little issue. Got it back running again. Everything was good. This is all in Windows. So I decided to go ahead and download Linux because I wanted to see what was kind of going on behind it, because I couldn't really, you know, trust the installer and whatnot. With Microsoft's always kind of an issue. So I went ahead and got Windows. And right when I downloaded Linux, and, you know, I haven't used Linux like much in the last several years. I mean, a long time. I used it back when it was Backtrack, so what is that, 10 years ago or something? I don't even know. But I wasn't ever like a professional at any of this shit, like, at all. It was just kind of, something I downloaded for a little bit and kind of messed with just situationally or whatever. But yeah, no, it was just kind of one of those things. Like, let me make sure I didn't lose myself here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, but so I'm not like a professional at any of this, right? I'm pretty decent on a computer. I've been using them for long enough, and I kind of get it. But as far as like code stuff, that's kind of outside of my wheelhouse. It's never something I've done. I've always been able to maneuver within the environment that I'm in, graphically or within text, just by kind of fucking clicking around. I mean, it's just all I've ever really done. But I've read a couple books, try to like study up on it because it's all pretty interesting to me. But anywho, so background, no professional experience doing this except for just best Counter-Strike player ever. But 18 years in the car business as an internet director, so I'm pretty like aware of how like computers work, and there's some stuff there that kind of translates, but not a whole lot. More phones than really internet stuff. But so let's fast forward to the few days before January 27th or 22nd. So I've got my threat analysis stuff done, and I've had it vetted and rated by somebody else organically, not like a bot or anything. It's actually been done by somebody with that company. So this is kind of the whole storyline of it, but I didn't really get into the days before. So what happened a couple days before I was streaming? I might have leaked some stuff. That's what I thought initially, but I noticed like there was just something really like crazy with like even my gameplay, right, within Counter-Strike. Like I would be dropping out of the game, reconnecting, and then I'd be reconnecting to like a cdn.steam static, relay or something, which is really odd. Didn't really think much of it at the time. I was like, okay, whatever. And this all plays into together here at the end. It wraps up pretty nicely. But I was invited to a streamer's community server. I get into the community server. As soon as and it's like a 30-minute death match. And, I've always kind of thought like, even back playing like Counter-Strike in the 2000s and stuff like that, it was one of those things like where you always kind of knew that was a problem or could be because of this leakage and stuff like that. And plus, Steve's got more leaks than the Iraqi Navy. As far as security goes, they've never given a shit about it, really. I mean, they've tried, but it's like, what can you do? It's like a never-ending fight, to try to keep up with it. But not really their fault. But in Steam, on their overlay, on their web overlay, which I was using when I was streaming, which was probably a mistake, it's Chromium. And Chromium's really interesting because there's just a lot of like weird ways that you can weave in and out of that, and especially within Steam, that overlay and everything it's got going on, there's just too much information there, so you shouldn't do it all in one place. But a lot of the vectors of my attacks are coming from SVG payloads that are triggered within Chromium or Chrome through webhooks, which I'll get into here in a little bit. But so I'm thinking there was just kind of like an angle there somebody was able to get because I left my console open. So I didn't really think much about it, right? But man, I ain't ever seen anything like it. It was pretty impressive. Of course, I knew something was going on a few days before because I kind of tracked a few people that were, playing with me in the game that was saying my first name and stuff. Like, none of them had my first name on there. So I know, whatever, no big deal. Don't care. So I just kind of had like, that awareness of like something was going on. But man, I was like, man, I don't even see how this guy came at me. Like, it didn't make no sense. I didn't see any tracks of it. I had Linux on my laptop running, and I stick it on a fake port next to my, I've got another like a fake private, network that's just running a Tails log on everything that comes in and out of this network. And I just do that because of my kids' sake and stuff like that. And plus, I've been trying to learn a little bit about it. So I didn't have it running at that very time, but because right when I got out of that server, I went right into a game. I had 142 followers hit me like that. I didn't call any attention to it. I dropped, pulled my internet, and was done. I think it was maybe the next day or the day after that. Same thing, man. I just nothing I could do about it. But this time I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let him go ahead and take it all the way. What's the worst he's gonna do? I'll just reformat it. It's in my uh, understanding of from the beginning of time when I've been dealing with computers, there was always one thing that was for certain: you just reformat. Who gives a shit? Just reformat it. Well, the UEFI and all that stuff, that's not as secure as one would think it would be. So it's kind of a problem, especially when there's a supply chain compromise. So that's not where I hadn't figured that out yet. That's down the road a little ways. But so the next day after, I get hit, and it's just I have no answers for anything. But he was obviously already there with me. Like riding a back seat or whatever, because I couldn't figure out any of the shit. And then I started looking over at my laptop, and I'm like, I can't even see myself on my own network. So that's when I knew my loopback had been manipulated. Um, so then, I was kind of on ChatGPT doing some stuff in between two computers, and I started seeing a bunch of errors pop up in the dev console on the gaming PC that I was using that he was kind of like, there with me on. Like he was teeing me up for some settings that he wanted me to manipulate for him, specifically that he couldn't do or it would have taken longer to do, which is a cold move. There's a lot of people that are probably in the same boat if they just copy paste, but especially within the coloring and stuff, if you're containerized or in your some sort of sandbox, that's not really what they're able to do all this stuff from like inside of your network because it's routing through it that way. But um, I didn't know that at the time. I couldn't really tell. I didn't really remember looking and seeing that was the case. But when I just saw on my other box that I wasn't anywhere in my situation and I was not on a virtual machine, this was a Windows system. And the first inclination I had, there was an Azure, Microsoft corporate Azure networking administrator's account when I have the name on it. I caught it like midstream, like popping in all of a sudden. And I'm like, I've never even used Azure. I don't need Azure Wave or whatever the hell it is. And I just keep trying to get rid of this thing. And there's just nothing I can do to get rid of it. Usually I can like change the shortcut to it or the properties or rename it, and I'll just shortcut it into Windows Media Player or something stupid like that doesn't really matter. Nothing permissionable, right? But it was so weird because it kept telling me as soon as I saw that thing popped up, uh, it popped up along with a NVIDIA driver update, which was different because my NVIDIA audio drivers, that whole application that they had when they switched from GeForce Experience. So I was having issues with that already. So I was troubleshooting that. I could have got a pop up or like something that, went along with those lines, but it was a real, I didn't understand. Like, I was just like, man, this shit's cold blooded. This dude's fucking good. I was pretty impressed, actually, to be honest. I was like, man, I'm so far behind understanding any of this stuff. I thought I was kind of, had an understanding of what was happening, but man, no idea. I got little bits and pieces of it, but as far as like how the process works between everything, no idea whatsoever. So fast forward into that, um, yeah, just he fucked me up, dude. It was crazy. So I don't think it was the same night, but why the individual was still hanging out with me the very next night, I noticed it. Like as soon as I got back up running the next day, because he took me completely down, I went ahead and did my little trick. But that's the whole thing, though. They need you to reformat. They have to have you reformat. So that's why this is so sneaky for people that kind of know half of anything, because that's what they need you to do. See, a normal person probably would just They probably don't use the computer as much as like a streamer or somebody playing a game or somebody like me does. So they're not going to just go run and reformat. They'll take it somewhere or whatever, which even taking it to a place which I've done or gotten drives or whatever, they're lost. They're out to lunch too. But anyways, there's just no way they could have known. So second day, I reformat, and I notice when I'm reformatting, there's a big difference between the delay of when it takes me to install Windows. I reformat a lot, so I know exactly what it looks like, and I also noticed the change between the to 2D, which is minimal. Um, Color wasn't there, nothing was there. It's very consistent with what you would do with a virtual machine when you boot into it. It takes you to like a minimal 2D environment. It's a little flat. It looks a little different. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's, I mean, if you know, you know. Like, there's just a little bit of difference in it. So that was happening, and then it was like an hour and a half for this thing to update. So I said, fuck that, I'm not doing it. So I had another drive with Windows to Go or something on it, dual booted with a encrypted USB live boot Kali. So I wasn't able to get that to work on the gaming computer, right? Because it was like kind of kicking back at me. It just wouldn't let me even try to do it, which I understand why now. But so I just went ahead and let the whole thing go through on the install. It would give me about like a 2 hour window of like playing around online. And then it would rinse and repeat the same thing because what I don't operate like a normal person on a computer. I am a bot, you know. I'm a bot of a person. I don't ever put in any sort of credentials to anything because I'll fucking forget it. So like, you know, I go ahead and I just put in Microsoft stuff, whatever. I didn't log into my Steam account. I jetpacked it the night before, and then when Steam was asking, and I'll get into that too in a minute. I played kind of a funny little joke, but um, so I just made a brand new account, got right in, played. It seemed like I was with a certain group of individuals. It's the same type of people that I was playing with on Xbox. So maybe this was already something that was happening on certain devices within my household before I even realized it. But they just couldn't ever get the computer, you know, for what, you know what I'm saying? So like new devices get introduced, it's a different set of circumstances. So uh, maybe that's the case. I'm not really sure, but seems like the server's up like east, like New York, Philly, Jersey, that kind of part of the world. But obviously, it's probably going to be more like England or some sort of jump point there. But it's like a 100 IP number. But none of that matters because you can have. I've got a computer that I use that's got 17 different hops on it. Like you'll never figure out what the hell's going on with that thing. It's insane. But anyways, why you need to be that secure? No idea. Uh, so where was I at? Yeah, he beat the shit out of me. So interesting. But that next night when they came back, I kind of was just acting real foolish with it, and they were being silly. And I didn't realize what I was getting myself into, but I was kind of noticing that the chat was acting like an older model of Chat GPT. But I was also running Wireshark on my laptop. And like I said, it was on its own independent internet card, different set of connection. And I wouldn't like, I was, I don't remember what port I was on, it doesn't even matter. I just started noticing some shifts and some stuff, and I noticed the shift of the way that was, dealing with me, and it started giving me some bad commands. And I'm like, whatever, I'm not going to question it. So I straight up asked it, what should I do? And they're like, well, we got an idea. You can change your loop back into this, and they gave me the wrong code for it. So what I did was I went over to my laptop, took the Wi-Fi card out, plugged it into my internet, yanked this one offline about the same time as they were changing it, and I changed my loop back into theirs. Uh, like routed it basically. Well, I don't know, but it all got kind of crazy because there was obviously like more than one situation going on with it being supply chain, and then somebody from like Counter Strike. It was like two people because there was somebody behind me, didn't know what the fuck was going on, and then this guy coming head on at me. So what it seems like, from my limited understanding, that I was already in a virtual server, uh, from boot, going straight into it, and I guess I've compiled everybody in that server or whoever was in there at the time that was attacking me. I've cloned the entirety of every operating system they've ever had or anybody in that system for the last, since 2018. Um, Kobachi, and there's 100K in Bitcoin in that account. It shows on the screen. I've got all your public keys. I've got all the hashes, and I've got all the HMAC keys. I mean, I've got every fucking single bit of it. I've crossed 1.8 terabytes worth of stuff. I've got flash drives and SD cards. I've got it all in 3 different places. Because I thought this was all just seriously like the computer manufacturer, right? Like that's what I was thinking for like ever. But there was just things I could not like explain. So I think that I didn't even understand it was the computer company. At first, it's the streamer. It had to have been. Like, how the fuck did they do it? I was like so trying to like understand. But man, the first, I don't know, 2 weeks, I couldn't hardly get this thing to fucking boot. I couldn't get it to turn on, couldn't do shit. So I had to get creative with it. Um, I was, pulling the RAM. I'm still on the same original hardware that I was with when this computer was sold to me. I have not bought anything and replaced it because that's a point of pride for me. All these people are trying to fuck with me. All I'm doing is sitting right here. I haven't had to leave and run down the street to use Wi-Fi or try to fucking play all these gay ass games that they're doing. I'm just sitting right here chilling, hitting buttons. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe using a flathead to pop my control. But there's radio frequencies involved. There's audio wave signals with bots with SVG payloads. I mean, it gets pretty deep. And I don't know if one knows the other, right? Because there's definitely layers going on. And then when they've changed everything, my Mac ID is permanently stuck to 0000, which is the Xerox Corporation. It's a default, like a kind of a weird thing that it does, which is like the roughest part of town on the internet. Everybody there is just fucking smacking. Like, so not only am I like trying to deal with that, dealing with hardware issues, dealing with supply chain issues, it feels like everybody's swinging at me, right? And then I'm like, it's just everything. It's everybody. Everybody's out to get me. No, I didn't have any answers. So I was like, okay, I've got some time here, and I've been wanting to like figure this out because that's how my mind works. It's kind of like interesting to me. So, and what are you gonna do? Get upset about it? Fuck, whatever. The only thing I got upset about is when they found out that I compiled them and we're all stuck together. I guess we're stuck together, or they just don't know what they're doing. But surely that's not the case. Uh, so while we're all still kind of like hanging out together in this deal, I think it's because it's a fucking Mexican standoff. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going nowhere. They know that. Like, they give me a little bit of trouble here and there. Oh, I can't even log into my router. I can't even change anything in my router. They log in through some hurricane emergency service portal that belongs to like some sort of like old like technology or whatever that was never cleaned up because it's on my fucking computer. I got screenshots of it. I've got all the receipts, so we're gonna go over all that here pretty soon. But it's just it's been a roller coaster of a ride. But so I went ahead and turned all the Wireshark stuff over into the company, and then had it broke back down to me. And without sounding like a weirdo, but it just, basically, this is the first part of it. External sender alert originated from outside of the company, blah, 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 blah. Documents within enclosed, restricted, confidential, not authorized for any sharing information contained herein. and this is kind of going over the story. It's like, yeah, you cloned the compiler's information of the virtual machine, more than likely to a bot master or somebody operating some sort of service or ransomware, or one and the same. They probably are. They likely set up weird local netmats, fake local services, maybe DNS rebinding and fake routing. Your machine got pulled into a fake IP space. Your system thinks it's somewhere it's not, like a LAN inside of a matrix. That's an interesting potential, because they use a program. I'll get into that later. Potential pivoting or tunnel setup. The offensive environment has no defense. So what I compiled is all attack tools. There's no firewall, no nothing. And that's the point, because when they're calling this stuff out and they're booting into it, that's what they do. They boot to a certain server that has a PXE boot or something like that, or in a virtual that's going to be that certain distro, and they have it at a certain like situation. So there's still one of them that's parked really close to me. That's either like a Zigbee, or it's a something else, or it's somebody on the other side of the world. I don't know. But I think that it's local, and I know that it is at this point, and that's a whole other set of circumstances. It's interesting. But once they found out that I compiled that information, which what do you expect me to do? Just get fucking beat up? It's the only thing I could do. Just like let you know, hey man, like quit fucking with me, don't come back. You know. Well, they didn't take kindly to that so much, or the other people that were involved with it was seeing a lot of shit going on, and they're like, okay, let's go sell his information online. And they've sold my information online because my shit's in Russian, and I get a bunch of credit alerts sent in, and I'm getting shit from places that I don't ever do any business with. Whatever. It is what it is, right? Um, Easy come, easy go. But I'm the type of person that none of that shit's going to get in my way, because I'll just get up and go to work, right? And I'll go make 180, 200 grand a year. And that ain't shit. But it's enough to fix a few little bumps of credit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't nothing, like, it's just whatever. It's not going to ruin me. Now, them taking advantage of my kids and my mother, that's fucked up. So that's why I'm going to follow through with the things I'm going to follow through on, because they've cloned their phones. They've like SIM swapped, or whatever you call it, because my daughter, her phone's out of like London or whatever, or France, and she's not on a VPN, so I don't want to hear that shit. Also, I've got connections with that too in some of my devices, but all this is like service resharing, and it's a point when they resell it, you get hit by so many different people to make it hard to like find out where the original source was. But I want to tell you, one of the original sources told on themselves the same fucking day that it happened, banging on my fucking door, asking for some sort of like their water main key broke, and I'm like, why the fuck would I have one? Yeah, my dad passed away a year ago. He had one, but he lost that in a truck wreck 6 years ago. You fucking bang on my door. You fucking scared the shit out of my 74-year-old mother. So yeah, I'm gonna get fucking upset. I mean, I would be dumb if I didn't. And if you're ignorant enough to think that I wouldn't be upset, well, fuck you. So I know it is what it is at this point. And y'all never would have thought that, I'd still be here and I'm going to expose everything. So it's just what it is at this point, especially if I'm going to go file insurance and then I'm going to find out that, somebody's used my dad's information under my mom's social, like I've already looked into, and we got neighbors associated with the same number as us. So there's a lot. And I'm not a dummy. I spent 18 years in the car business. I am a fucking scammy piece of shit. I get it. That's what people think I am. I don't really think that I am. I think I do more help than, harm. But I get what the perception is. I've seen all these tricks. So when the mail's coming in and it's fake mail, and they're trying to like wait for your tax refund check, and shit's getting like pushed around, we had some mail stuff going on. So, that was the first thing. But also, I started seeing some like connections that were real close to us that were cloning back and forth like a lot, and connecting to us. And then later on down the road, I found out there's 5 different connections on a Bluetooth. Is how it initiates the connection to the system through the Blue Man kernel stack. in Linux and OBEXT. So solved. I thought that just turning that thing off within the grub parameters was good enough, but the exploit is, and I don't know if they know this, they might have just been able to get in that way. But with the Intel ME and the PCAP and this exploit, it's like the perfect disaster because I have on my computer a Wi-Fi card that's on board. It's a Wi-Fi 6 card. It's on board. It's actually in the board. And then, unknowns to me, I have another dual band Bluetooth Wi-Fi 6 plate mounted on the rear end of the casing inside another partition, which is kind of ironic, on the back side of my motherboard, which is enclosed with snap locks, which is also where the LPSS box is for the Windows. I mean, sorry, for Intel. And then with the ME, the management engine, it can be ran remotely. And if it's not even on, it still technically can be ran. So if they do lose connection of that or whatever, it goes off on a low Bluetooth signal, one that you can't even pick up. So the day after this happened, I start getting going again. I'm running logs. The neighbor sees me running logs. Doesn't see that my computer isn't even on the network. It's another computer. So, it's just all kind of goofy, right? So I start thinking, I'm like, nah, surely not, man. But, somebody was watching me during one of my streams and said, hello, neighbor, like a week before. All right, cool, whatever. So, you just kind of start having these things like, in the back of your head. I mean, that could have been the person that resold me. I mean, who knows? Who knows? Probably will never find out. But we'll find out because it's just inevitable at this point, especially when you're connecting with cell phones and Bluetooth and shit like that. And then you're not supposed to hang out this long with people. So I'm going to tell you what happened when we did all this. We're all fucking trapped in this virtual together, or y'all wouldn't be in it with me. You wouldn't. And you can't get back in it because it's a shit show. It really is. I boot straight into it every time. And I boot into my network, but I'm not on my network. It's a simulation of my network. It's all pretty fucking creative. It's sad they have to waste it on me. But I think they just wanted my Steam account. They were going to get in, get out, try to teach me a lesson. Which in hindsight, maybe I should have, whatever, but I'm not that kind of guy. I'd rather do what I'm doing now than sit there and bitch out for some shit like that. But I've also learned, I've been able to turn this into experience of like understanding how things unfold in this realm that I've never really understood before, because I've never messed with scripts or anything like that. And that's another thing. I have not used one single script or a GitHub or a wget because all the repos are poisoned. I can't even get consistent because they just, so it's bad USB with meltdown on it, and it's ruining it. It just ruins everything, or it parts another partition in it and swaps it, and you're like in a read only. So there's a lot of moving components with that, right? Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how it works, but I guess that's basically what's happening. There's like an encrypted partition, and then there's a swap to that partition, and then you can't get back to that encrypted, right? So that's how these ransomwares companies are like. I don't know if I explained that quite right, but that's how they're doing it. They're partitioning, encrypting, leaving some space, and there's a swap in there. And then there's a lot of other stuff too. It ain't just that simple. Because even once you start finding out, you think you're in your BIOS, it's not your real BIOS. It's almost just like you're booting into a complete remote share of what your computer is. Like they're using all your resources and everything, and you're just allowed to borrow it. Well, in my case, I haven't even been allowed to stay online. You know what I mean? I just think they all just turned it in for warranty work. So that brings me to the next thing. So I guess it was a couple weeks I kind of got it going. So what does I bring this up to? Let's say middle of February. I'd already been to the FBI office twice. Have already put in a report with the City of Mesquite. Because the problem when this stuff starts happening, you don't really know the timeline. Is you just don't know what they've been doing on your network, right? So just in protection of that, you have to. And plus, when you start seeing things like Citgo gas or Amazon credit card information fly through on certain like things, which was interesting. But I guess that's because of my loopbacks being shared with 999 people. My low end MTU, which is insane, is 65,000. Normally it should be about 1,500 or 2,000. It's a health risk. I have radio frequency stuff going on in here. I got somebody with a fucking remote or like it's a device that's built into their truck, like a ham radio. And I think that's how they're triggering some of the frequency signals. Yeah, so I mean, it's just shit that I had no idea about, right? I've been too busy, like, providing transportation to the American public in mass and winning fucking awards and shit, and then lost my dad last year. I'm a single dad, just trying to figure it out. I hadn't played Counter-Strike in 10 years. I buy a new computer in June, and then somebody wants to fucking take that from me. You know what I mean? Like, that shit's fucked up. Like, how ignorant. And then on top of that, they want to deny me the ability to use my service even after I fix it because they're such sorry-ass bitches. That's just what it is at the end of the day. People just, if they were really about anything, they'd just come over here and talk to me. If that's what the case is, maybe I could be wrong. I'm not wrong with the fact that they're running a Wi-Fi bridge off the backside of my shit. That's what it is. I could care less, except for the health concern. We've all been sick for the last 6 or 7 months. We can't figure out why. Could be more of the reason why my dad was dizzy and he fell and hit his head and died. So there's a lot of circumstances here that people don't understand because they just want fucking internet. Like, what the hell, man? But, I haven't hacked back because I noticed very early on in this situation that there was a government agency that was parked pretty close. Because when you're the first person on that start point, yeah, you can be the man in the middle on me, but you're not looking past you. So all I have to do is just step out and run a trace route from that back. It's so simple to figure out what's going on, but I couldn't there for a minute. I had to start kind of stepping out. But once I removed the back of that Bluetooth plate and the vertical M.2 slot that's on the back side of the motherboard, it got a little bit better. It seemed like my mom's car, the Bluetooth on, I guess it's the Wi-Fi on these like Nissan Connects and stuff. They stay on all the time, which I had no idea. It's like the dumbest thing ever. What a great way to be a scam artist is to be a mechanic and work on people's cars and plant these, types of situations. But anyways, besides all that, and I don't even know if I'm making a whole lot of sense here. This is the first time I've really even talked to anybody in 4 months. I've really just been here just grinding this shit out, trying to figure it out. And it seems like they're doing the same thing, but it's probably more automated. So it's probably a little easier on them to do it. But I don't have any of that stuff. I wasn't prepared for any of it. So I've just been kind of going off of my limited scope of understanding. I had an A+ certification in 06, never used it. Hell, I think I tried to interview for a job at Geek Squad or something at the time, but they won't hire an 18-year-old with that because they have to pay you more. They only hire one A+ certified tech at every single one of those locations. Everybody else is not certified. That was the way that they did business at the time. Maybe they still do, maybe it's not, but I think there's only 2 people at the one here in Mesquite, which I wouldn't trust them. It's not about trusting them. It's just my situation is, it's not something that really, and here's another thing. Trying to find somebody that you could call and talk to or get help with this is like completely impossible, especially when you are operated and puppeteered from all angles. My phone calls were being routed to the phone barn. I actually was able to get into that phone account and change all their voicemail box shit. Turned in a lot of stuff. I've got names on all that. I turned some of that stuff in just because, like, hey, look, man, I don't know. I'm not going to get fingered for none of this at the end of the day. And if I do, you're fucking all going with me. Let you know that right now. It's just the way it is. You know, I'm an eye for an eye kind of person, and that's just the way that it's got to be. If I'm going, you're going. I know I've got my issues. What are you going to do? Tell somebody that, oh, you know, Evan's online streaming and sometimes he watches porn. Like, that's the worst thing you can say about me. Well, why are we doing all this shit? You know what I'm saying? Y'all are really trying really hard to hide what you're doing, whether it's inflating views on Twitch, uh, whether it's inflating views on YouTube, whether it's inflating views on whatever the fucking platform it is. It's happening because I've got the guy's drive. I've got it. I've had an interaction with him before. One of the individuals that was involved in this because, you know, Counter Strike's weird, man. It's just a certain type of people that play it, you know, and I don't know what would bring anybody to do it, but it just, I think that it was going to be a scheme to kind of get my account because I had maybe, you know, $400 or $500 in it or something. I mean, not a whole lot. Uh, and then I noticed they had like phishing emails that were being generated. They looked perfect, right? Well, they were coming from inside of my network, so there's like no reason why I wouldn't expect there would be any error or anything. So it's not like they were coming from outside. So that's why they looked really, really good. But I didn't notice because I Googled on my phone. There was Steam powered and Valve software. Well, I've been playing Counter since '01. I know what they've changed their name to. You know what I'm saying? And I know that ain't this fucking email. So they said provide proof of information, and I did this for like probably a week. I sent them all the credit cards and information I had that I had canceled a month ago when I moved all my stuff over. So I did that, and I had probably like, I don't know, 12 different cards. I just kept sending them fucking different cards. Well, I think what happened is somebody tried to run one of them, and that might have been a contingency like issue. Like once I turned it in and I told them, I said, hey, look, I gave them some old cards just to try to see if I could like, you know, figure out what was going on or something, or maybe they would release my shit back to me. But I mean, I was already sold down the river anyways. It didn't matter. So whatever. But going forward, I guess this is all going to get back to a point to where I start getting ready to call cyber power back, right? And I probably didn't call cyber power for a month. I just didn't. I didn't need to. There's nothing that could have helped me with. I needed to get USB drives. I needed to get persistence. I needed to get something to boot into because I had nothing, right? I just wasn't like prepared for it. So I went to a computer store that was, you know, here local. They were cool, you know, 40 something dollars for a USB drive. Where Windows is $126 at I think Best Buy, which there's no guarantee that's going to be a good key either. I'm going to tell you, the worst thing you can possibly do is go buy like one of those things off the internet, or if you've had a virus, try to go get a USB and get an ISO off of the internet, because chances are, if you're anywhere close and similar to the situation I'm in, where they've already kind of got you a hold of you and they're waiting for you to reboot like a ransomware company so they can encrypt your drives once they try to blackmail you and you don't roll over on them, they're going to get you somehow. This is how they get you at the back half of it. And yeah, it's a fucking grind. But I like to think that they're having to grind a little bit too. And I've got all their files, folders, attack scripts. I've got it all. And we'll go through some of them. And I'll have to like not share everything. I'll have to like try to hide it or something, because there's some shit in there like it just shouldn't even be. Shit to fucking scam casino tables. Yeah, there's a lot, man. There's a lot. And there's another drive that's a real fucked up one. But neither here nor there. It just is what it is, right? We're all afflicted. Everybody's got their problems, but this one guy's got some major fucking problems. Because that drive goes back before he got real smart. And it's all over it. So we might have used it for work, I think, and then, you know, might have had some purpose other than that. So I go get the USBs from the computer store. I go up there. I can't remember the first one I got. I still have my laptop running with Kali and everything, but that stuff, they just were not giving up on me. And man, I think I had a bad USB that I tried to back up to. That was the problem. I didn't even know about this USB thing. Well, I had an idea, but I just didn't think about it. So my dumbass used the same USB across like 3 or 4 different devices. So I just pretty much helped dig my own grave at that point, and then I had to fucking claw back out of it because I couldn't get this thing to turn on and boot. Uh, because it's just, once they got you down that bad with all the things that you have to consider within this situation that I know now, even just like some of them old school tricks are like, clear control, CMOS, trying to reset those probes and all that stuff. And uh, I had to get real crazy with it. So once I started getting going again, I noticed like I was just like, I got to have something here that's going to like, you know, keep me protected at the end of the day. So I went ahead and re-encrypted on a persistent USB when I knew that they were going to do the same shit over again. So when they did that, I just already had that ability to put another encryption over theirs. So I just kind of like boxed that in, where I'm either in between theirs and one of mine, and they can't. I mean, there's just nothing you can do. We're just all kind of like boxed in within all these partitions because when you play this game, it's just a two-way street with computers. It's not one way. It's not Broadway D. Okay, it's up and down, back and forth. It's zeros and ones. So if something comes in a certain direction, it can go out. I don't care if you go back here and you change my cords and you take them and you route them into yours and they're all connected and you're getting internet. Well, guess what? I can go back down that line. It's just what it is. That's why you're sharing my loop back the other direction. So I've been kind of playing with that, and I think that they lose track of me at certain points because I'll just stay in a non-graphical situation, and it thrives on being in a GUI because I think some of them are using Microsoft, like an MS-DOS or something. But there's some really weird shit going on because it's like the thing was injected to me on a Windows machine, right? Encoded in Mac in ELF, and it's a ZSH shell, which I think's Apple, right? Or it was, or used to be, maybe. And then it works on Linux, right? So you would think that some of that would fall through in between the two. Well, it doesn't because it has enough time within the booting parameters of the system, like especially when you're trying to do an install. Because everybody installs, right? Who the fuck's crazy that boots a live USB that's encrypted more times than anything you could possibly imagine, and then Toram dumps everything and then pulls the USB? That's why I just can't be affected. That's why I haven't been affected since, because I have not been on my hardware. You can fucking throw every attack what you want to at me, unless it's a physical like radio frequency or something that's a little different. But even the mitigations and the no hertz, fine, done. This is all stuff that you can do, and I'll show you. Like, it gets kind of silly, and I'll have to go back and look and see if I have another drive that's like really crazy, because when I first started out, the boot parameters on this thing was as long as the set list behind, like if you're going into Linux and you see where it's like, boot to live, boot to install, speech synthesis, stuff like that. Well, there's another sub menu behind that. You can hit E and it'll take you to the sub menu. And then that's the set list, the set load line, right? Or the LD load line, I believe is what it's called, or the preset set params, the set parameters. Well, that's how they hide code within like font, right? Well, that was the first couple ways of an attack. And then I think that I can tell there's been layers to this. Like there's people that are really good at doing this stuff, and there's people that kind of get it. The people that are putting everything in the parameters, that's just an easy way to like get it done. With these other guys on this end of it now, they're pretty decent because it's some of them are just automation toys, right? But what they don't know is the people that I'm dealing with on the other side that are giving me so much static that I can't even get past. I've never not been able to get into a sudo or a sudo role or a su role to where like, okay, yeah, I'm there. I'm at the root of the system. This thing's bash script is so intricate that you have to change 4 times to get down to baseline, and then you're still not even there. It's pretty crazy. Like, it's had to have taken somebody like a shitload of time to figure this out. This is almost like what they would do if they knew that you were under attack and they wanted to protect other outer infrastructure of things. The government would put you right into a sandbox, and y'all can all just play together while they sit there and investigate and figure it out. So that's why I haven't done anything. I've just been sitting here chopping away at wires. Because whether you like it or not, I'm still out of Virginia on a connection as of the 3rd week after. And they think that I'm all here on a home network. I've been in a virtual server, booted twice through some whatever. Check my. I've got 2 different ways that I boot into network, and one of them is different than it used to be. So something changed. So that's kind of like, concerning, and they can't because they're not really in my network, and they can't change that, or they would have already done it. It's been 4 months. They could have done something remotely. Trust me, they could have. I mean, they would hit me with 700 ohm Reaver attacks. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. But anyways, so I'm getting calls from scammers, all this shit, and I'm just kind of having, a fun time with that. But the worst part about it is like, affecting my mother and stuff and my kids, and not really knowing like what's going on with that stuff. Like, what are they watching? So it's just like, it's really frustrating that you can't get any help either. Like, you go and try to tell somebody that something's going on, and you try to but all you can do is just file the paperwork and be like, hey, look, I was up here and I did what I was supposed to do. So, can't come back and fucking say shit like I did anything. Or, if I did something, and I'm going to fucking finger them for it. I mean? There's a lot of games that get played in these shadows, because there's no such thing as being like hidden online. There's not. The only way to stay hidden is to hide behind somebody else. Point blank simple. That's the same way with life too. You put somebody else in front of you, there's a meat shield. But, when you're doing that, and you just never know what the circumstances are, just like I still don't quite know everything, but, my gut can only take me so far, right? But, we'll let this all be a decision-making process when we go through it. But, yeah, so I end up calling CyberPower. Same process that they did back in October, September, they repeated, right? Still wasn't even like really thinking. And I just said the company's name. Shit. Whatever, doesn't matter. I gave them an amicable amount. I gave them a solution to make, like arbitrate, amicable resolution. I can't say that word. I gave them an opportunity to respond to me in a certain amount of time. They never did, and they've just declined to deny it after I caught them like several times. So I'll get into that. So the first time I call them back to after ground up, because I gotta have BIOS. Like, I can't get to that step. So he's I call him, I tell him what happened back in October, and the guy on the phone was kind of cool. He's like, on the registration key, like, yeah. He sent it to me. I put it on it and I stuck it in and booted right up. He goes, huh? I didn't know that thing could have that much space to do something like that, right? And then there's just that little transaction when me and him got me thinking. He's right. That shit ain't even big enough to have, like, it's not even over 4. And then also, where's the Windows media creation tool? Will you ever think about that? So why would you send me all this stuff and not send me that if I'm bricked out? Because I'm going to have to reinstall Windows. Wouldn't you just send it all at the same time? So they send you this tool, and this is the first of 3 more interactions that I have. I don't use that. I immediately take that and I sit it over because I'm not feeling comfortable with the PCAP. I know what that is. That's the same files that I get from networking when I'm pulling logs, like running logs around what's on my network. You only need that if you need my network access, and I'm not one to like want to do that. Like, there's just no reason that you can't tell me, hey, here's your software, here's your stuff, you can boot your computer, you're good to go. The reason why they need that is to put you back in the grinder. So that way, when there's enough time that passes before your warranty expires, they're going to scam the shit out of you. Or not third party tech support, or just a malicious actor. So I have to give them the benefit of the doubt, right? I'm not saying them directly because we did have good interactions. I was streaming, they sent me shit. I think there was an email or two that was traded at one point about, I was going to be able to get some sort of like, discount if I ever did anything else, or like, trying to like play the game with the streamer thing, right? So never really had any issues. They were following me on TikTok. And the following me on TikTok thing was interesting because I went back and looked at that account, and it seems like there was a bunch of these accounts. But they all got some of the same similar friends on these accounts. It's a tell. People can't help to add themselves on their own accounts. I'm guilty of doing it too, and it's terrible for your security because that's how a lot of people will find out who you really are, is looking through that list. Because think about it. What do you do when you first join a stream? You probably get on your cell phone, and you probably look to make sure audio's working, shit like that. There you have it. You got to have a separate account to do that because you're streaming on that account. So it's just not a good, connection. And then with these companies like TikTok and shit that want to like, you got to scan your phone just for it to log you in, which is a terrible idea within the issues that I'm currently going through now that I see in hindsight, because they were side loaded like on top of me in TikTok every time I was scanning like that QR code. Probably wasn't even a QR code. Probably just, another hook. But I must have kind of like been able just to luckily maneuver a few times to get out of it early on. But I think they had been trying to for a while, and that's when it all started originally. But so I didn't do anything with that PCAP. I took that drive and I sat it over on the side back into the manufacturer's sealed stuff that they gave me when I bought it, right? Or it came with enclosed with the inside of the PC. So I set that back in there. Left it there, didn't think nothing about it. Just went and bought like a couple of USBs. Told them to put me one of everything on there. Give me a Windows, give me a Kali, give me a fucking whatever. You know what I mean? Like, give me just give me some different looks here, because I need something that I can just lock down, like networking wise. Because Kali's really difficult. Like, if you don't have it set up right out the gate and you're already having these issues, you're done, because you already got all these tools there for them just to reuse on you, which is a problem. So I just thought that I was secure enough to like where I was turning off the internet, turning off the computer. What else could there be, right? My phone. I mean, I thought that I was good within just the zone that I was in. I had no idea about remote management software that was installed, or that comes default on this computer with this LPSS, which you can shut off if you do it right. But why Intel's management engine needs to try to manage the grub params and then send those information of the LPSS when it's booting to a cell phone number, strange. And apparently the cell phone number is like an Easter egg for Microsoft. Well, what the fuck does that mean? I'm on Linux. Well, I think that I might have been booting into some sort of virtualized like situation early on in this thing, but that's all kind of theory at that point. But didn't use it. I got up and running. I haven't been able to have any persistence, because anytime I go to download something, and I tried like hell the first month and a half before I was like, look, I'm not going to download anything because I'm just going to go right back, rinse and repeat. I can't pull anything. I power cycled everything. Hell, I ran my generator off of my computer just to make sure there was no other like weird connections, right? I had a good like day or two with that, but there's just only so much you can do when it's just these low, frequency waves that are just taking you over. Or if they have a corporate Azure account or something like that, and they have access to Intel's management engine or Windows ME, whatever the hell it's called. It's one of those two. I get them mixed up. I think it's Intel's LPSS and it's Windows management engine. Sorry. So let's get back over here real quick. I did all this myself, because this is kind of like something that I was pretty interested in doing. Except for getting the responses back for the clarification, I sent it to a company that I got They were cool. They were great. Because like I said, it's so hard to like talk to anybody. Everybody thinks you're crazy. Like, oh, you're fucking hearing people on the walls. Maybe. That would be more explainable, right? So, formal submission of a cybersecurity incident evidence report. Dear Claims Department. And this is for an insurance claim that I'm filing. Formally submitting forensic evidence regarding incident involving hardware received from company, which I believe was compromised at or prior to delivery. The incident impacted multiple household members, including myself, my address, and then I state the other three: mother, son, daughter, 2 minors, 1 elderly senior citizen, 74 years old. And let's face it, she's not using her credit anymore. She can't even hardly drive. But hell, I might have to give one of these cars back. I can't even work. I worked in finance. You think they won't hire me with this shit? There's just no way. It wouldn't be right for me to go work. But I guess that was something I never really thought that I was a target, but somebody could have been definitely been hanging out with me early on, just because of the fact that I pulled 200-300 people's credit a month. Well, hell, man. Okay. So, persistent threat APT activities, including but not limited to unauthorized payload generation, network hijacking via local host at 127 like home, and ransomware pre-staging. In response, I initiated full forensic preservation measures to capture volatile and static data prior to any further system degradation or contamination. Attached, you will find a timeline report attaching with the chain of events, proof bundle checklist matching each prior captured events in the timeline, hash value certifying the authenticity and integrity of all submitted artifacts. And this company basically goes over the stuff that you submit to them if you do it yourself, or they do it for you for an extra amount of money. But I went ahead and submitted everything to them, and this is the information they gave me back. I've included in here along with what I've wrote in my words, and then kind of like in the legal version of it. I have an attorney in the family, so I kind of didn't talk to him about it, but just kind of growing up around it, like him being, in that for as long as I can remember, I kind of get it a little. And then you just try to, so I tried to make this as like, hey, this is a job. You got to do it just like this. So timeline report, I already said that. I respectfully, okay. Additional artifacts, hash value certifying authenticity, integrity of all submitted artifacts. Additional artifacts, full disk images, network captures, system logs can be provided upon request under appropriate confidentiality or chain of custody agreements. I respectfully request that this be evaluated under cyber liability coverage terms, because this is an insurance thing. The stuff that my attorney has got the copies of he's got some of the original stuff, trusted third party away from me, and then I've got another backup set of copies. Just because I kind of felt like, if it was me in their shoes, I would have came and like tried to like knock my place over, you know what I mean, and like take everything, because at this point, like, shit, man, you've done everything else, fuck. I respectfully request this be evaluated. Yeah. Please let me know if there is any further documentation or clarifications are needed. Thank you for your time, cooperation, and consideration. So, cyber incident report, timeline of events, proof of bundle checklist, optional PCAP file hashes, optional disk image hashes, optional screenshot hashes, optional drive serial numbers for device linkage, Additional notes. Keep the original file zipped and emailed. Okay. So I've got them all zipped and incorporated, or I mean, encrypted. But like, you know, the attorneys, like, you know, they don't know. You know what I'm saying? So luckily, I was able to kind of like half-ass like try to understand what was going on, because this happened to anybody else, man. Could you imagine, like, if it was just my mother, it could have put her in a fucking like in a nursing home. She just lost her husband after 52, 53 years or whatever it was, you know, within the same year. My daughter had spinal fusion surgery. I mean, we had a lot, you know, and then just imagine like one more thing on top of that. This has affected her permanently, whether anybody wants to realize it or not. But let me take your shit away and fuck with your phone calls for 4 months and let you think that something's happening. And it is. We've confirmed it. Like, her phone calls were being forwarded and listened to and operated, forwarded to somebody else through a Google Voice number. My stuff was going to the phone barn because, remember, I went and had to file a report with the FBI. So I think that they've been here from the jump, possibly. Or they left, came back because something was still going on. They kind of pop in and check. Or they saw the unique opportunity to kind of ride with it and see how far we can run it up. Because when she called me back, or the agent called me back, she even knew on the phone that somebody was recording the conversation through a VoIP. And I've used VoIP Hopper and stuff, and I can kind of trace it too. So there's some cloning of our phones. We've even switched phone companies. Didn't even get home, and phones were already being registered with different emails, forwarded to a third party, and ironically, we didn't carry any of the same devices, but those same devices that we've sold and got rid of are on networks. How does that work? So they just took the devices they already cloned, probably filed insurance on or some shit, turned around and added them to our policy, or just went ahead, because one's on T-Mobile. Actually, 3 of them are on T-Mobile, one's on Verizon. Or they were just really creative to post up when we were going because they've got some sort of listener. I don't know. Or somebody could be really creative enough to sit in the Starbucks next to AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, and just hang out. I'm sure there's a way you can do it. I just don't know. I wouldn't do it. Let's get back up to speed on the chain of investigators, insurance. Okay, absolutely. Okay, MITRE attack patterns confirmed. NIST 800-61 incident response severity. ENISA threat taxonomy. ISO 27035 incident assessment. Target: personal and or business hardware purchased through company. Primary vector: suspect is supplied information for supplying that claims to be supply chain compromise or pre-stage malware on device. The primary discovery in live forensics capture during customer support interactions, and evidence provided, I guess, kind of, they can't say that it is, but it's like kind of, it's like a 95%. And that's the number they gave me, which means nothing to me. But it's just what it is. So timeline of events, event severity is 0 to 10, notes and sources. Hardware arrives pre-installed with issues. It's a level 9 out of 10 supply chain. So that's the ENISA, supply chain tax report. This matches supply chain compromise profile. So everything I've supplied matches exactly how this shit goes down in this situation. System exhibits long-term anomalous behavior. Over 70 days at the time that I got this back. It's been almost another month since. And that's a level 7 MITRE. Persistent, consistent with advanced persistent threat APT dwell times. Loopback, used to mask payload communications, is a level 8 on the MITRE. T1071.001. Application layer protocol, web traffic, known covert channel tactic. So confirm that too. Wireshark captures show internal generation of external codes, RMA emails from company. NIST SP 800-61 computer security incident handling guide, confirmed so. High severity fraudulent system behavior. Customer support interaction triggers live local payload injections attempts. Number 10, that's a level 10. Hey, high level. Active engagement in an ongoing attack is maximum severity under NIST definitions. So they can still attacking me constantly. PCAPs and web console evidence collected before physical surrender of machine. I have not, and I will not surrender this machine because I've seen what they do to people that do. They just blame them and say, oh, well, it's not out of warranty, you're not getting it back. I'm trying to cover up what's going on because they might either know or the people that are still working there are still working there. But I've had this happen in October. I had it happen in, let's say, March, and then turn around in April. I recorded and duplicated Wireshark traffic while they tried to flood me out of the own loopback that they were tied into. So how can you tell me that it wasn't? I don't think that the same people that are being the operator are the same people that work for CyberPower. I mean, I didn't go buy it from somebody's house. You know what I'm saying? Bought it from a company. I have a factory key. And then I call them on their telephone. They have an operator answers. Goes into another situation. So like I've called and tried to check all this stuff out. Emails come to CyberPower, which could be bullshit. But that last time that I called them, I kind of put them together a little bit. I was like, hey, look, I think I know what happened. I think I had my IP address messed up. And I think that I plugged something in wrong. I think I have my loopback shared like internally or whatever, and then like routed incorrectly. So that's probably why it's going on. I said it backwards, just, and I don't even know if it made sense when I said it because it was just on the phone like really, really quick. I just wanted to try to gauge a response. I was on the phone for 57 minutes. 57 minutes waiting for a manager. You want to know what I did for those 57 minutes? I sat here and watched them try to flood me off of my own loopback. How does that work if you're in California and I'm in another state, in Texas? Don't you have to be on your local area network unless if it was shared externally because that's something that they do to try to cover some of this shit up? Or they were a part of the attacker that got compiled and cloned into this virtual server with me, and we're all just stuck together. That's the working theory. I really don't know. But yeah, I've talked to 4 or 5 different people at that company. 3 of them replicated. One of them seems to have not really understood what was going on and seemed genuine, on the phone. And acted like he was going to look into some things, and like, I don't know, it sounded like he was kind of cool about it. Because I kind of feel like I've kind of had some sort of helper a little, but I've also had some people like look like they're trying to help me, and then they fucking try to take me off and drop bad config files into my USB drive that's not mounted. Dingus. That was a bad move because now I've got your whole shit. Like, how'd you do it? You know what I mean? Like, that's dumb. Like, I even see where you put, I'm going to X you out, X in you. And then you put, because you're an asshole, 0xDEAD 000. I ain't fucking dead. I'm still here, still same equipment, sitting on my ass chilling, running. So I just want you to take this as just the moment of like, you're not some digital overlord, okay? You got beat by some dumb car salesman, right? Well, #1 with Nissan last year, top 10 in the nation on phones. So, I'm not no, dummy. I'm not educated really well or anything, but I work hard. And that's at the end of the day, I'm just going to outgrind you because you're not used to it. You ain't built like me, dog. You just ain't. You ain't. I'm not right in the head. I'll sit here until and won't eat until I'm done. Because that's where I got to where I was and got successful in doing what I was doing. You can look at it however you want to, but if you're looking at me so much and you're looking at what I'm doing and you're trying to like look in, you got to start asking yourself, what's wrong with you, right? You got to do some introspection. If you're so concerned or so interested in somebody else, another man, do you find me attractive? It's okay if you do. Or is it something else? Is that the situation? You're kind of looking over like, well, because like I said, kids' phones have been compromised. So you know what I think when I get to that point? I think the worst, right? So, or worst case scenario for them, the problem is other people were on this network with all the people they shared with, and they run this down, everybody's guilty of everything. So it's just dumb. It's just really, really dumb. And why you want to do this to somebody, because it could really, really, like, psychologically, it's fucked up. Like, it's pretty bad. But I'm a mess anyways, so it doesn't really matter to me. Because here's the thing, I'll just get up and I'll just move on at some point, or I won't, or I'll take all this stuff that's registered under everybody else's name except for mine. It's registered to everybody but me. I could do some really hellacious things with this stuff, but I'm not going to. And then some bozo fell for the bait and tried to clone the compiler information, thinking that that was the real Ethereum and Bitcoin account. What do you think? I'm stupid? Do you think I'm going to leave that up there? Do you think I'm going to use it? Like, what were you thinking? So you just put your fingerprints on something that's definitely being monitored. I mean, not by me. I didn't give myself that distro that's 3 years old. I didn't put the wallpaper that says there's 100K in that Bitcoin account on there. I don't know how I got it, because you know what? I try to get back into that drive. It's damn near impossible. But I can. I have. It's got all kinds of weird anonymous shit all over it. It's such a setup rig. It's such a setup rig. And if you can't see that, you're dumb. And that just means that, you know, you rely on your devices, which is fine, and you have no street smarts or even know-how. Because the social engineering part of this is my specialty. Because you can't bullshit a bullshitter. I knew from jump. I just felt it. I don't know why. I guess I'm just another fisherman sees another one from afar. Plus, these games are really cheeky. You know what I'm saying? You probably could have came over here and put whatever the fuck you want to around my house without even making a stir. Because what you did was you just got me up and then got me thinking. And then you try to play games with cars moving around and shit. Whatever. It doesn't matter. You're not my concern. You're nobody. My concern is people with money, like the company that I'm trying to, like, move forward to. So whatever else is going on, fine. But as far as it affecting me and my services from here on out, it's done. And if it does, I'm going to catch it just like I did the other night around the corner. I know, because I've had somebody that has been a radio operator for, I don't know, 40-something years. He's been watching it from afar and reporting on it. So the radio frequency waves and stuff around here is higher than even like it's 3.5 times what the Earth's magnetism is, or whatever, micro Teslas. It was up to 400 in here the other day. And it just hums. It's so loud. It makes you sick to your stomach. Yeah, it's just, I don't think they even realize, like, I mean, that's just putting me in an early grave, which I'm cool with. Probably should have been done a long time ago. But my kids and my mother, man, like, that's the thing. Like, if you want to fuck with me, fuck with me. My router was in my daughter's room for the longest period of time. And yeah, it's just messed up, because it's like, you know, I don't know. What could have anybody have ever done to somebody to elicit this kind of response towards them and their family? Hey, come at me all you want to. Fair game. Leave them fuck alone. Especially my son. Because if he gets mad, I mean, Lynch down there 400 pounds and he's a fighter, so I mean, shit. I wouldn't want to be on his bad side. So let's see here. Let's see, where do I stop at? System exhibits long enough. Okay, I already did that. Clone drive contains artifacts, 8 drive. Okay, so here this is. PCAPs, web consoles, evidence collected before physical. No, yeah, I'm not going to surrender it. I'm keeping it because I know what that is. I'll never get any resolution if I don't have proof. Ransomware pre-staging detected. No activation yet, and they could not activate it. There was a small little error that occurred. Simple little error. I don't know if it was just a happenstance or it was on purpose or it was just a complete flub. But that little issue there wouldn't have kept me down. I still went down. But the whole encrypting of my drives and stuff would have happened. But here's the thing. Your drives don't stay encrypted for long. None if you reset. None if you reset and let them lose the connection to your computer in my situation. Because they're not actually encrypting the drive like password encrypting it. Because they're not, that's not what's happening. What's happening is they're putting you into a virtual that's making you think that you're just, it's just really creative, scammy stuff. And usually the people that they hit, they have to have business stuff running up and soon, so they don't have time around to wait 21 hours or whatever it is to reset. But that's just the start of it, and I wouldn't recommend ever like just waiting them out. Don't do that, because these guys definitely have like the ability to do a lot more than that. And then just selling information, then it's just everybody, and then now they're kind of like they're probably like a group, 3 to 4, 4 to 5 Discord buddies, stuff like that. It takes four people to get to hack somebody on a Counter-Strike game live. I sat there and rewatched my last stream the night before I went down, and it's clear as day. I boot in there, I got the names of everybody, and I see myself get pulled into some sort of like CDN network. It's redirected, and it's like I'm not even in Counter-Strike. The game don't feel good. It hadn't been feeling good. The bots, when I was warming up, didn't even look like damn bots. One of them jumped and turned the opposite direction. The week before, I had ragdoll issues. So I don't know if this was happening to a lot of people, and I'll explain a little bit topically how that happens. A lot of people are against it's, it is Discord. It is. But it's a lot of things. It could be anything, really. Some of it's Google. Some of it's, a comment, CDNs. I mean, it's just even Cloudflare, some of their stuff, because you can't cover all of the angles from all these different, and even like if they're spoofing stuff, it's just kind of hard to really ever know. So it's tough. It's not like their fault or anything, because you got to stay better protected. But you would think you open a program on your computer, or you download a streaming software to stream, you should be good, right? From somebody just being able to like straight up not even need any credentials. And how they knew what my net BIOS was, because I don't even know what it is, because I don't ever set it. Maybe I set it online like that. I have no idea, but I don't have a net BIOS. So why would I need to log into it? I never use the net BIOS now. I guess it's because I just get right past the boot with a live boot, but it hadn't asked me for a BIOS login in 2 months, 3 months probably. But it wouldn't matter, because even all the settings in your BIOS, it doesn't stay. You turn off all the VMV stuff, you turn it all off, it's still, Bluetooth still works, Wi-Fi still works, everything still works. So there was some time there where I didn't understand that was still happening. And it's really creative, because it gets you in the kernel stack, which is another issue with like anti-cheats and stuff like that. They're wanting to get access. And also my kids' Xboxes, I can't even change their DNS domain, like routing and stuff on their NAT. So it's like hard loaded in there, and you can't really do much with an Xbox to change from that, and even resetting it. So the best advice I can give, don't join any clubs or groups. There's some sort of information leaked there up front that makes it an easy vector. And it used to be that way too. I just thought they would have came up with a way to fix it. And I don't really ever join a group on Steam. But I think what had happened is I just fucking, I mean, I might have got an invite. I'm usually really sus, like, I ain't gonna fuck with it. I might have joined it, I don't really remember, but I also do know I was blocking people, and they ended up back on my friends list. So I was already watching that. And one of them was on my TikTok. And that individual has several accounts. And I'm not going to name anybody, because I also went to the Xbox accounts and my VR, which was compromised. It's the same thing. It's managed by an organization. It's a group thing. They use it, or you use it, and it's like sharing of some sort of like connection, like in your home, or resource, or remote play. So I guess the VR thing within Steam Link issue, but just those few little things like don't use phone link with Windows. It's a terrible idea. Don't scan QR codes. Um, Try to keep like separate, like gaming PC for gaming. Don't do any personal stuff on these devices that you're out there on the front and the public face. Even different identity almost completely, if possible. But it's just tough, especially when you got somebody like your mother. She don't, she can't even get on Facebook, and that's how she keeps up with like all of her friends because she hadn't been able to go. Both of her Facebook accounts after we recover them, she gets blocked for bot traffic, banned for 180 days. It's just fucked up, man. I don't, like I said, I don't care about me, but that's where it gets a little personal. But hey, the dildo of karma never comes lubed. Remember that. Okay, so insurance. Okay, detected manipulations of potential local IP hijack, internal routing, insurance, cyber liability, business operations impacted, direct impact to insured assets under most cybersecurity coverage. Because I've been without income, I mean, that maxes the policy. But I haven't filed it yet because I'm still not getting my mail. My daughter's gift cards that got mailed in from a relative out of town got lost in the mail. Somebody here's routing mail, or they're grabbing it out of a truck or something. But in this situation, the UPS package was delivered to the Amazon dock. Imagine how that worked. I don't know. And it's like a mile and a half down the road. So somebody's just got something like crossed up that way, and then you try to talk to the post office, and they don't give a fuck. Anyways, new hardware was purchased and deployed. This is the like follow up on it. New hardware was purchased and deployed. Immediately upon deployment, persistent but low visibility anomalies were noted, including unexplained network traffic and operating system inconsistencies. And I did notice a little bit of it up front. There was a GoV device, which is similar to like a what is it called? A Zigbee or a Wi-Fi coconut or whatever you want to call it. There's definitely a device, and there's definitely several of them, because when those things don't connect, they pitch a certain frequency out that sounds almost like a bird, and it's stupid. But sometimes if they're all losing connection and they're looking for connection, they interfere with each other. So that's consistent with the Wi-Fi bridge thing. But whatever. New hardware was purchased and deployed immediately upon deployment. Persistent but low visibilities. Okay, over a 70-day window, anomalous behaviors increased. System exhibited behavior consistent with long-term infection and pre-attack staging. Network monitoring, Wireshark. Browser developer tools identified a manipulation of normal internet communications. Customer service response codes, RMA emails, like warranty codes, were generated internally by compromised services. Zendesk, when I was on the phone with them, when I told you I called them, was on the phone for 58 minutes, I saw the email that generated from Zendesk share my information, my broadcast address, my loopback, the same everything. Maybe it's a mistake. Doubt it. Because my Gmail is the same way, and that's how they keep your emails from not going outside of it. Because even when I would email myself, I wouldn't get it. Zygote, Sandbox, Zendesk, Gmail without proper external verification, and that's noted and confirmed. During a live support call with the vendor, hostile traffic flooded 127 home, suggesting active attacker control or attempted repayloading. They did, sloppily. This event is consistent with an attempt to reassert control or wipe digital traces. Yes. But this is something you wouldn't account for. This is so abnormal, the way I'm running my computer. Payloads were determined to include ransomware components staged locally. Fortunately, ransomware had not fully executed at this point. I mean, whether it had or it hadn't, we're past that. I don't think that they realized that laptop desktop. I flipped some of the storage devices around. I mean, it probably got confusing at some point, and maybe that's why it didn't fully pop. But like I said, that encryption stuff that's occurring, from what I understand, because like it's happened 3 or 4 times in my laptop. All I do is just leave outside where I'm at, or you can take it off premises. Sometimes that'll help if you get far enough away from the internet connection, and unplug it, take off the CMOS battery, give it like 20-30 minutes. Even if you don't remember, you see what it does is it pops up a blue screen, and it's like, put in your administrative password. I've never had one. What do you mean, put in an administrative password? So if you just don't ever put one in, you're good. Don't ever be like you don't need to secure yourself from that point, because if they got you there and you're secure, they're going to use it against you, because you're never going to know what they changed it to unless you get in the grub boot parameters and you see what their password is, which is plain as day. It's so crazy how that works, honestly. But like I said, we'll get into that. It's a lot, so kind of wanted just to like run through it, and I'm just stumbling all over myself here. Such a long window of time to like cram in. I'm like, and then I'm worried if I even sound fucking in my right head. Okay, so payloads determined to okay, so the payloads were confirmed and determined included ransomware component stage locally. So let's talk about that. Hive X NV Reg edit confirmed. I have Perf-C stuff on it on one of my drives, which is like not Petra type lineage, like infrastructure stuff. And then what was the other one? Ghost scripts. Been here with that. A lot. Pretty much everything, I would think, at this point. Now, the real kicker is when you start getting into these audio WAV files and stuff like that. Because I knew, like, for a while, like, the SVG images, like, there was a script that could run in SVG. Like, that was nothing new to me. Like, I didn't understand how it worked, but I knew that it was feasible. But these bots with, like, an audio wave, that was new. And it's all speech synthesis. So these things are just so automated. You can disable all of this stuff, and it's still going to get it off. Like, it's tough. But they like the toolbar, everything on the computer you touch triggers something. It's just like no getting away from it. There's a few little things, but you gotta hit in a certain series of events in a certain order, and one misstep, you're back to ground zero. Because there's been several times, like 3 or 4 hours into it, I'll delete something that will break something, and it'll give me like an error, and either I didn't know how to fix it there in that situation at the time, and I'm like, I'll just redo it. So that's just like, I'll just have a lot of like, rinse and repeat of this. So luckily I've gotten a lot of restarts out of it, and I'll continue to for the end of time. I've got, and this is a lot, I've got 1.8 terabytes worth of saved data across 8 distros, and it's all the same shit. It looks the same. So I was wondering when I got them on VR why it looked like Fedora. It's a meta, because it's booting me straight into a virtual environment. And I didn't even know that was possible in there, because, well, it's possible in everything because it's computers, right? But, yeah, so it can be done. It's being done, and nobody's really talking about it. And, the issue with like Google and like the Google Voice thing, that's all stupid. And then eSIMs is a problem. Not being able to get a hard copy of anything anymore. It's all flash drive. And this is all like post-COVID like problems, So, okay, so system forensics captured disk images of PCAP network logs, web console artifacts, securing the full chain for later analysis. Subsequent investigation revealed possible local network stack tampering, including manipulation of local host and IP routing settings. Confirmed. This suggests host-level persistence and stealth network hijack capabilities consistent with supply chain compromises and local tampering of services. Category assessment. Hardware trustworthiness. Entire system considered compromised. Reinstallation or hardware sanitation is required. Good luck. I've been trying to promise. Data risk potential exposure of all data on system files, logins, credentials, encryptions, keys, business continuity, downtime, device replacement, system recovery expenses, insurance, relevance, falls under cyber liability, fraud, unauthorized system tampering, ransomware, and preparation. And there's been about just in the cyber aspect of it, 11 laws broke at the time of this, and there's one for every single one of them. This isn't even talking about phones. It's like a whole other thing. So these people have racked up quite the racketeering charges if they're a group. And it's just crazy because some of these people are going to get in trouble for something they didn't even really fully understand, because that's what these individuals do. They hide behind people because they're scared. And because it's just really, really grimy shit. And then especially like and then these people that are doing that think that they're really running shit, they have national like threat actors, like terrorists, like people that are working in other countries, like building these products, or they're actually over here working for a certain organization. These are infrastructure killers. This has been a claim that they've tried to do several times, where they plant things on these devices. So there's somebody there. That person then will get somebody and recruit them, give them some cool stuff to use. They'll go use it on Discord or with their friends or whatever, and all the while, they think that they're cool. Well, homeboy's sitting there watching everything they're doing, and then he's going to blackmail them to do what he needs them to do. Go get more people, set this person up, this, that, and the other, and then they're pulling strings. And they're taking advantage of very weak-minded younger people, and it's just, it just reeks of the people that kind of got picked on in school and shit like that. Just trying to, like, make everybody else miserable. You can't make me miserable. I'm like the wrong person to get involved with this stuff, because like you can't really get me down. You can't. Not at this point. I mean, I've been homeless before, and I've made $300,000 a year before. I've had houses paid off. I've had to foreclose on one before. I've moved in with my family. My parents are single dad. We all have to do what we got to do, right? That doesn't necessarily mean just the situation you're in and the circumstances define who you are as a person. And if you think that that's the case, like I said, there's going to have to be some there's going to be a long time for these individuals, whether it's now, later. The thing about getting in trouble with the law, because I've been investigated with FBI before, they only have to get it right once. They don't have to catch you once. You got to get it right every single time. 99 out of 100, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be 100 out of 100. You're going to slip. They're going to dude, they're smart. They're smarter than you. They got more tools you don't even know about. It's just what it is. And you just need to really take that into consideration. And I've even tried to give every benefit of the doubt to tell them there's more going on here. Need to back up. So today, and I don't like to jump ahead, but it's just really interesting. These, I don't know. It's like the Netherlands or something like that. There's somebody that's out of the country, like for real, not like a fake, because everything's coded in German and everything, and that's how the bots are actually have these WAV files that are like German. But and then the tracing back from this company confirms that it's a group out of that region that are hacktivists. Also a part of supply chain compromise situations and things like that. They're from Estonia. Supply chain compromise, 9 out of 10. Internal fraudulent communications, 9 out of 10. Active payload deployment during support interaction, 10 out of 10. I'm hitting all the high scores, dude. I won. Detected ransomware pre-staging, 9 out of 10. Data exposure risk, 8 out of 10. Recommendation for insurance submission. Submit full timeline above. Yeah, I did it. Submit hash. Yeah. So then I've got more timeline of events broken down, everything. I got a nice little, oh shit, I can't show it. There's the visual map, if you're not a reader. And I've done all this right here while they're attacking me. is the crazy part. And I mean, like, not just attacking, they're getting into my router, into my network through a loophole that AT&T should fix. And that's the first thing I'm going to talk about before I get into some of this other stuff. Let's see, how long have I been live? See, I think I'm still sitting in this box, but the cool thing about being in this box is if these individuals that are hanging out with me are watching this right now, well, you've already fucked up. You know that, right? And I don't care what you're doing, because obviously you know. And if you don't know, now you know. Because there's just some things that nobody's pulling off without that. The changing of everything real fast like that recently. And then the setting up of that. They pretty much used me to go into like a Discord channel just to bait this guy out. It's pretty interesting stuff, because here's the problem with Discord. These invites that you get on these ISOs, these distros that you're downloading, especially like Kabachi or like a Garuda Linux or whatever, right? You join that Discord, there's a chance that it's going to be a proxy, and it's going to go to, what's it called? Starts with the E. I've got it somewhere. Hold on a second. Not on Kali, but it's a portal that you log into. It's with an E. Damn it. Hold on. And it looks just like Discord. It's so silly. It's not Ethereum. Oh, shit. I can't find it. Hold on a second. I'm going to sit here and keep looking for this. I've got it on the one of these flash drives. The Matrix Display Wrapper. Anyways, not that I want to give anybody any ideas, but I think it's just it's green. I got in there and I noticed it just looked exactly like, Discord. I got out of it, and then I went back to that Discord channel, and I noticed the name at the end of the Discord channel was not like most of them, and I don't know what's up with Discord. So that was my first thing, because it almost looks like a nickname, right? These individuals can't help but tell on themselves. They just have this complex. But because they got to feel like they got to tell somebody, because they've never really been important, and they need the attention, and that's why they have to do it. They got to feel like they got to try to control people that way. I just don't get the mindset. It's just like, it'd be like if you're 20-some years old and you go beat up a 9-year-old. Like, what would you're gonna go take advantage of people like that? I mean, it's just messed up, man. But anyways, yeah, it's a theory. Oh shit, I can't remember. Anyways, we'll have plenty of time to get into it. I got a lot of data, a lot. Man. Well, I'm gonna take a quick break, see, and then I'll be right back. Let me see what I can put on here. So I want to show y'all. Let me find it real quick on my other. I can't get back into my original YouTube. And I'm still on RAM only. Here, let me check my. What's sharing on here? Yo, what's up, man? Andy. No, I don't know how to use Restream. Holy shit. All right, let's see here. Stay on page. Jeez. Struggles. Okay, so that's my top screen that I'm sharing. Apologies. We're gonna get through it. I can't really download anything just yet, because of the fact that, like,
if I'm still a little bit, I don't want to have to like start over with like having to like go through the motions of everything again with this shit. So I'm just kind of playing it slow, playing it slow. Let's see here. Yo. Let me hit that real quick. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming in, Andy. Appreciate it, man. Um, let's see. What was I gonna do? Damn, I was gonna put something on my go. So So yeah, I don't know. This was kind of an interesting thing. I think that's kind of one of the guys like console the terminals had this as a logo. I thought it was kind of dope, and I was like, I don't know. So I took a picture of it and I sent it into Chat GPT off my screen, and it came back with this Asaya art kind of look, and I was like, man, that's actually kind of neat looking. I hate spotters, but I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool. I don't know. I never really got in and thought about this too much, like within like some of these things. Just I didn't know, but now I'm starting to be well informed. I haven't shaved in forever. Okay, so if I go over here, I can find it real quick. And I can't get my audio able to share off of this other screen, so this will just have to be a visual experience. But I want to show you that last stream that I had on YouTube before I went down. Some interesting. I don't know if anybody can maybe shed some light on it would be cool because I've never seen it before and I didn't know that it was even possible for it to happen. So let me speed up here. This whole stream was not. It was just when it happened. It was all simulated. There wasn't nobody ever coming in with the individuals that were. There was four of them. They have to kind of like get you. It takes four, right? Is what I've been told. Which I don't know why somebody would tell me that, but I think I've been being mistaken for somebody else more than anything. I started seeing some stuff around like with this little widget down here. The name was changing. It was saying shithead and stuff like that, and which is fine. Uh, it's kind of funny. I thought it was hilarious. But even this game, like I'm playing right here, just like warming up, it's like shit's not moving right. The bots have different names normally than they usually have. I'm like delayed a little bit. I'm like more slidey, and it's all a virtual screen sharing type of situation. So think of like open desktop. That's kind of how the exploits taken advantage of, and they'll get you through like a Discord, and then they just kind of sit there and hang out, and then they wait for you to put in crypto, or they wait for you to put in passwords. They wait for you to put in credit card information because they're just there watching you over an overlay. You're just in an overlay. Even sometimes your TV, when you turn it on, it's just already like looking like it's in an overlay. Like I don't like when I use my TV, my second monitor, it's never said, "Oh, please wait." You know what I mean? Like it just turns on, has a blue screen. But now, if I have it hooked in, it seems like it's just holding up for a minute. And call me crazy, but it looks like one of the logos were changed on the brand of TV that I have. I've never seen this guy. And if that's Insignia's logo, good for them because that's hilarious. It's just some random dude in a suit and tie, just like posted up in the menu options of the TV, not even in the computer. But that could be possible. It's just I think it would be pretty funny. So let me find where I get to this part. I'll show you where the switch occurs on the community. Not the community, but the game when I get ready to start playing it. I'll just pause it right at the dev console. So here it goes. I'm already knowing what's kind of going on. So like I'm just watching. I got a laptop on the side. I'm just kind of playing the game with them, and it's running. I still can't see it because I'm not where I think that I'm at. Right, I'm so confused by it. But and then obviously just thinking, oh, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But okay, so there's a spot here. So there's a lot of stuff that's loading in the back, and this shouldn't be. It's never the case. And it says it right here. Loading image frames and from URLs at HTTPS CDN at Steam static. But up above that, it disconnected me and made me rejoin. And then it says maps at demirage.serve serve. I don't know. I can't even see it. It's kind of like small font, but it's not consistent with any shaders or anything like that. I think that that's a possibility that you're not really playing inside of Steam's premier platform. I think that some of these people are able to I think that they're kind of got you hooked and they're taking you somewhere else. So that way they can overtake what you have. Can't do it within the Steam network. They don't have the control. But if they have the control of the server, it's over. And that's been the same for the beginning of time with even back in the old 1.5, 1.6. If you were going to a server and you weren't minding your P's and Q's, somebody was getting you. And those server guys, they really do have a lot of power. Because it's not just all about having your IP. It's about seeing certain other things that go along with that too, right? And then if you come back enough and enough and enough, there's just compiling information. But not all of them are like that. Some of them are pretty cool. Always had pretty good interactions with some of them because they knew how shit could be. But even all those years we played Counter-Strike, I'm trying to think. I think maybe once or twice I had somebody but nothing that was just dead on in your face, coming straight at you, but not there. It's like you were chasing a ghost. It was pretty eye opening. I mean, it was very, very interesting. Now I know how they did it. Like I said, answers my question. I wonder how they have people on Discord. How does that work? Well, it's not Discord. Just like that isn't Steam. That's not Counter-Strike's actual premier server. Just like that's not really Discord. It's a proxy. Forward you to where they want you to go, and they kind of get you in a little box. And then they run you from there. The mindset behind these individuals has got to be pretty shitty. Pretty shitty. Yeah. But hey, whatever. I mean, people do what they got to do. So don't get mad for me doing what I got to do. Surely you can respect that, if anything. Fucking punks. Nah, it's all good. I don't really give a shit. It's going to be fun. I'm going to be winning at the end of the day, I promise you. So there's another... am I even sharing this fucking screen? Yeah, you can't see it because it's a bad image, but... let's see, I'll maximize it real quick. So right here, all this green and stuff, people are going to say that's coloring the shaders, but that's also color D, command prompt and stuff that's hidden very nice, and it floods down there and you can't really tell. But I just happened to be recording. So during this whole situation, it started getting really weird. So I started changing graphical offset settings, polling settings and stuff, stuff that people don't usually would change. But when you feel a shift within some of that, if you kind of steer the opposite direction, it'll kind of give you some insight to what could possibly be going on. And not that it did, but it just settings weren't reacting like changes, XYZ axis stuff. So I knew there was something up with the environment graphically. Even the game didn't look great. I didn't really think about it too much, but and it's hard to tell 4 months later. But yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking up front was man, this is something's not right. And then they had that weird ragdoll thing going on because I think people were just abusing the shit out of it. But anyways, so all right, I'll be right back, and then we'll come back. I'm gonna stop this one right here right at 2 hours, but I'm gonna come back live in just 10 minutes probably. I just kind of want to gather myself and then start a different train of thought in case this video sucks. I can delete it since it's been so long. Then I'm going to kind of set this up a little differently and figure it out. But we're gonna start by going through the greatest hits. I'll show you what is in the folder whether we want to go through the config from before or what it's booting into, like it shows you, or we can get into more of like what you can see in a terminal graphical environment, and I'll duplicate some of the stuff that they're doing so you can kind of see maybe what to look for. Maybe it helps a little, but I'll be right back in a few minutes, and then also I'm going to stop this video and make sure it uploads. That'll be the most interesting thing. But EAZ, EXLS, ZBY, whatever. Is that the three people that are hanging out with me? EXLS. Well, that's kind of the end of my that's kind of the end of my the bot name on that account. Because it assigned me something. It was like EX5R71. They associate bot traffic with numbers and digits like that to track it. I found that out. So that's what my stuff was showing up as on like public facing. But when this stuff starts happening, another interesting thing, they put you into this other thing, which is almost kind of like what the people that are attacking you are doing. But when they take you from like the getting hacked to shit and all that, they move you into the isolated internet, which is kind of what they do, but it's a different type of isolated internet. It's called it's protected something, and I don't know. It's more of a managed and controlled. It's like a reintegration process, right? Because they got to make sure, like before they put you out somewhere, that they're not just going to be able to hop onto the next person, because this thing travels between devices, between refrigerators, lights, phones, hell, headphones. I mean, it hops. It just takes whatever signal of Bluetooth and it just connects to that if the internet's off. So that way, in hopes that when you turn it back on, it just has an entry back into it. And I know this for a fact. And I've got the documents and stuff on it, but it's just a real it was just a really weird way to like figure some of this stuff out, because the whole time I'm coming up with this, I'm like, man, everybody's gonna think I'm crazy. Nobody's gonna believe me. And then finally you kind of get going through it and you're like, oh, this isn't as like magic, right? It's not magic, so there's got to be a logical explanation. And then you kind of start like unraveling some of it, so it's not as like earth shattering like once you get past a little of it. But in the moment, it's like, man, I just kept thinking like, man, what about all of those kids? Like, they say there's 70,000 accounts that get hit on Steam every month. And I just couldn't help the whole time sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, that would suck. Like being, summer's coming up, like somebody takes you out for 4 months, that's the whole summer. I just kept thinking like, what about like happens to these other individuals and shit, like, and how do they deal with it? Because, I had a little bit of a hard time with it. I was like, man, shit, this sucks. But I made it kind of worse on myself. I tend to do that. But, for good cause, because these people, you give in, they keep and taking. They're going to keep taking more. They hang on. They just wait for the next scheme they can fucking rake you on. Whether it be insurance from family member's death that they try to follow on, or they try to get IDs made in other members' name and try to rent houses and shit like that. I mean, it's a lot. Or try to get in, like, finance cell phone stuff, and there's a lot of it, right? Or they just call your credit card company and reopen one of your accounts, start buying stuff on it. So there's a lot of that, and that's where it's like really shitty. But just in the first like upfront stuff, it was just kind of like a typical little Steam hack. But that kind of pissed off the computer company, because hey, they're in here with me. They're trying to get me out. These people are attacking me. Now we're all in this shit together, and everybody's just acting like nothing's going on. And then the funniest thing was like calling Cyber Power, just like dead catching them. He's like, no, your NVMe is mounted on your motherboard. And I was like, first off, that's not how the NVMe like works. That's not an M2 slot. That's like that's what you would see on a laptop, the way that they have it mounted. The vertical M2 is on the rear side of the board. I've got pictures of all that, and we'll show you. But
I'll try to compose myself and get this to like a straight down the line kind of thing. But man, it's just it's been an experience. So appreciate you joining with me and let me kind of work out some of the cobwebs here. But I appreciate it. I'll see y'all here in a second. I don't know how to shut this shit off. Well, dang it. Well, I guess I won't be seeing you in a second. We're just gonna be hanging out here, trying to figure out how to